So I am so excited, everybody. Rob and I have been trying to get a hold of each other for I don't know how many months. And finally, this miracle has happened. This is Rob Gauthier. I am just honored to have him here with us. He has been channeling, and I'm going to show you guys in a minute, um, Treb and Aridif, and he's an amazing channeler. And I'm just super excited to have you here, Rob. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It has been a rough time for us to get together, but we're here now and it's a beautiful thing. It's always divine timing, right? It happens exactly when it needs to happen, and I'm very excited to chat with you and your people tonight too.
Excellent. So, what I want to do is I want to share my screen because I want to show everybody um, who you channel. And so, here's Rob's website, which is the etwhisperer.com. And here, Rob, and this is what I wanted to do was read your bio. Rob is one of the most respected trance channelers in the world. For more than a decade, he has helped thousands of individuals receive clarity in their life path and mission. He works with three guides, Aridif, Treb or Yitni, and Metatron, but has channeled hundreds of ET consciousnesses. Rob is also an in-demand speaker and teacher and has been featured in many documentaries, internet shows, interviews, and books for his unique channeling abilities. I saw Rob at the Sedona Ascension Retreat. Here's Kalina Angel, his wife, who is also a channeler, and hopefully maybe I can have her on as well. So here we have Aridif. Aridif is an ancient Pleiadian from Deneb. He is from sixth density, fifth dimension, and resides in spectrum of evolution of the soul that is much higher than ours. He is a master teacher and has shared a great deal of knowledge about densities, dimensions, evolution of consciousness, and universal structure. Aridif has also worked extensively with Earth and humans throughout history to share enlightenment and cosmic knowledge. Aridif is very detailed and very intellectual, while Treb is, let's see, a benevolent reptilian human hybrid from the Capella star system. He is fifth density. Treb refers to himself as a spiritual advisor and works with all races, open to connecting with them, which is awesome. His race are one of the most loving, caring, kind, and gentle in the galaxy. And let me tell you guys, um, you will feel it when Treb comes through. You will feel it for sure. That just loving kindness. So, Rob, tell us a little bit about yourself before we get started with Treb and Aridif.
Yeah, I've been doing channeling publicly since 2010. I did it just to share my experience. I had met Treb in an astral state a couple of years before I ever learned how to channel, and I kept going back to meet with him over and over again. I had had a lot of hardships in my life, one with my son and some with substance abuse issues that were caused from a car accident. And it took me through, a really dark place. And after the dark comes the light. And I had a spiritual experience, mostly from childhood interest and experiences of looking through, unnatural phenomenon, like psychic ability, UFOs, Bigfoot, all these types of things. And through that experience, I went to a spiritualism church and learned how to meditate. And then I found myself looking on the internet and finding binaural beats like the Gateway Experience that helped me learn to bring my meditation to a new level. And then I met Treb. And then after I met Treb, I connected with him for 2 years, learned from him the things that he taught me, and turned my life completely around, like coming out of this really heavy and dark place into a place where I felt good. I loved myself. I loved my life. I understood how things worked with the universe so much better. And I wanted to share that with everyone else. So I asked him, can we do channeling? I've seen other beings who've shared similar things that he did with me. And then I saw that they were doing it through channeling. So I was like, can we do that? And he said, yeah. So I learned how to channel with him. He taught me some things. I learned some things. I made up some things. And eventually we created a system where he was able to come and speak directly through me. So after I learned to channel him, I channeled him for a few years. Met Aridif along the way. A guy asked me to do a book with him, so we did a book. And during that book, he asked Treb, "Can you bring any other beings through?" And he said, "Yeah," and brought a lot of them. And one of the beings he brought through was Aridif. And Aridif was always the most intensive part of that book. The most that I learned from that book came from that 20 some pages that Aridif was there. So after that, uh, channeling, I started doing it instead of just sharing from my own excitement. The demand for people to do co-creations with them and speak to them and ask questions became so big. I had to make a choice. Either I do this and help people and, do this as a living or continue my day job and barely be able to channel maybe twice a month or three times a month at the most publicly. So I decided to do it. And once I did that, about 6 months to a year later, that's when Ardif started coming in. And he actually came through on my wife's radio show when we were doing our radio network. And it's like the largest part of our radio network. And he came through on our show and said, "Hey, I'm ready to start working with Rob and with humans and ready to do it." And I found out later the reason that it took that long is because I had to go up to his consciousness, where Treb is a lot above me, Ardif's like that much above him.
Yep.
So I had to work with Treb long enough to get high enough to where I could directly connect. Because every time I had channeled Ardif before that, I actually had to channel Treb, and then Treb had to channel Ardif.
Ah.
Right. So it was an indirect connection, but it was still a good connection. But it shifted. Like as soon as I started channeling Ardif, then this opened up tons of other beings. At this point, I've channeled probably over 1,000 different ETs, extra dimensionals, collective consciousnesses, and all sorts of other beings. So that's a little bit about me.
Wow, I love it. I love it. Um, so since I don't want to keep you long, I would say, can we go ahead and get started and just get Treb here so everybody can get to meet him?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me get a drink of water, take a couple breaths here real quick, and we'll jump in.
Okay, wonderful.
Evening, Lisa.
Good evening, Treb. How are you?
Yes, I'm very well, and I'm very excited to speak with you as well. And I know that you have very many questions that you wish to ask, and very many things that you wish to share that you are excited, and you may begin whenever you are ready as well.
Oh, well, thank you, Treb. So we have a bunch of people who are watching who have never heard about you. So I want you to tell them about you and where you live and the anything that you want to tell them about yourself.
Yes. The greatest way that I share of who I am is first relating me to the host, the entity that you know as and call Rob. And this entity is a part of my own oversoul, an entity that I am connected to and able to co-create an experience of direct connection. All of you do this every day as you are sleeping in your sleep states, every day when you are feeling guidance from your guides that work with you, and every day that you work towards knowing yourself better and expanding yourself better. So this experience brought ourselves in contact and in co-creation with one another. Now, explaining as who I am an entity that exists in our greater galaxy, that same galaxy that you know as Milky Way. And even though We would not call it Milky Way. The idea of energy that is more so telepathically related, that is translated to an English form, would be clusterization, and this refers to the clustering of star systems, as well as consciousnesses that are in the star systems, as well as the planets that are in the solar systems, and all of the souls that exist and fractalize within that area. Now, if you look at your nighttime sky, you will see a star that is known as Capella, and this star system is a star system incorporated of two dueling systems of binary stars, and those binary stars exist with two that are very small and red in color, and two that are very large and white in color. And the two that are red that humans would classify as red dwarf star systems, these are the two stars that would focus upon in the system, and in the largest of those two red stars, this is where my own solar system exists. And if you go from the very center of that star to the outside and count planets 1, 2, and 3, this is where our own home is located for the energy of our planet. So that energy from Capella, from your system and your understanding of our system, but to my own self, it is simply referred to as it, and that is due to the nature of how we have no language, how we only have telepathy, and how we had to create a system of understanding for humans that we speak to, and for entities from Earth that can understand the way that we share. So now you understand a greater system of that energy and know slightly where we experience. But even if you were to go to our star on this day and land on our planet in this moment, you still would not be able to see us in our full energy of physicality. You may be able to feel us if you are sensitive to energies, because we are higher dimensional. We would still exist there in that very moment, but it would require some elevation of yourself in consciousness. And some of you who are naturally psychic may feel parts of our energy, but not the whole energy in co-creation from that detailed physicality. But if you were to go there and visit our own planet, but do so from an outer body expression of astral state projection, then you would be able to perceive us and speak with us and co-create with us. And if you were to see us in our sixth dimensional energy or fifth density energy from your own perspective and understanding, then you would be able to see that the entire race that I exist in would appear very reptilian to your own self, and this creates a great deal of fear for humans, as there have been many reptilian races that work with humans that have not treated humans very well or very kind. But in our own race, we are actually related to your race directly as well. If you look at being a human, and in your future, you may see a version of humans that exist that leave Earth and go to the Beta Leporis star, and known as Nihil, and these entities would turn into a different race, because of course when you leave Earth and go to a different solar system and a different planet, you are joining a collective consciousness that already has existence, and your DNA would shift to incorporate that new experience and new solar system and new planet system and become a physical part of that system. So this group of Nehold entities were once human but shifted into a different version of human with their new collective energy. And they took their own DNA and created a hybrid race of entities that were one half of their own DNA and one half of a reptilian animal entity, and did this for the very same reason that you may imagine, that humans hold great fear over reptilian entities and over reptilians in general, and this could create a sense of healing for humans and reptilian counterparts as well.
Beautiful. That sounds,
Yes.
yes, that
Mm.
sounds absolutely beautiful that we could heal that part of our human mind, you know?
Yes, and very exciting for our own race to be a part of this as well.
Yes, well, you're the bridge to, to that, and that's just amazing. Thank you so much.
Yes, we are very excited to play that role for human entities, as well as in our own consciousness, hold a very strong sense of connection to the reptilian archetype of energy, and even though we are perceived as hybrid beings, we very much hold the reptilian archetypal energy of those that are truly empowered by our own actions, that bring that sensation of deep connection with one another, as well as others that we respect and love in that same way, and hold our energy very strongly in the moment when we co-create with others. So even though we are hybrid beings and are not in full reptilian form, our reptilian appearance shows you that the genetics of reptilians, as well as the energetic archetype, is still very important for us, and we are very excited to share that with you as well.
Oh, very nice. Can you guys shape shift like the reptilians here?
Yes, we do not hold a shape-shifting energy. This is mostly done with entities that are Earth reptilians through technology, and there are some races of entities that physical appearance appears more as reptilian than other archetypes in their natural state, but these entities are still shape-shifting beings, but these beings are not from Earth. Other entities that are reptilian, that shape-shift, that have been to Earth or have co-created with Earth, mostly work in alignment with either shifting your perspective with internal technology or using external technology to simply place a form of holograph around their own physical structures, and able to incorporate a more human appearance or humanoid appearance, and even entities that have shifted into beings that appear more grey, or as the grey entities would appear to you. These entities still utilize a mixture of the holographic forms of technology, as well as shifting your perspectives from the internal parts of your mind and consciousness, but mostly in the third eye as well. And we do not do this because we would not care to infringe upon the free will of how humans perceive us. But there are many humans that have reached to our own energy in order to co-create and to be a part of our experience. But many of these entities did not perceive us in the way that the host perceives us or other humans, and that is due to their own perspective of what our energy is and a way to translate through their own third eye. But this is not a direct intention of ourselves. It is only the human that is looking upon us, projection of what they believe we should appear, as that matching of energy does not calculate to their own human mind or psychology as well.
Ah, very good. Thank you for the explanation, Treb.
Yes, you are very welcome as well.
So my next question to you is, I want to understand better this, what we call simulation or video game that we live in. And my experiences um, have been when I have taken psilocybin. There's a strand called the golden teacher. And so what I saw with my eyes was I saw pixels everywhere. I saw the sky, the clouds were pixels. My cat was like moving pixels. So can you explain to me um, what what is that? What did I see?
Yes. When you are perceiving a projection of reality, this holds a strong sense of validity, but humans interpret this in several different ways. Some humans perceive that consciousness holds a vibration that only projects into a false form of reality. And that false form is very similar to an electronic or video game forms of energy, and other humans perceive a holographic projection of consciousness through a crystalline matrix that creates a form of physicality. And although both of these hold some validity and some aspects of truth within how certain humans and certain beings experience their own reality, the way that it truly works is that the physical reality holds a space that is quite physical, and that is a very hard surface for you to touch and very direct place for you to perceive. But the way it exists within the universe is that the universe itself is truly a physical place. Now, as the creational part of that energy, the reason why it does appear as a video game structure or within that center of energy for other humans that perceive holographic projection, the energy of that does work that way in certain accountings, but the energy is truly physical. The way that you can have something that is very physical in experience, but still be a projection, is that all of the souls that exist upon the other side of physical reality, the soul that exists in the host body, that is his body, holds a projection of their consciousness through the physical reality, through the chakra systems, and then the physical aspect of his body is there. Our own bodies do the same. The planet that you exist on does the same. The chakra centers are the areas where non-physical consciousness are able to project outward their consciousness into that physical structure. Now, the higher the dimension becomes, the less physical that physical reality becomes. And in those layers of sixth dimensional and seventh dimensional energies, or fifth density and sixth density, these are the lightest and least physical aspects of energy, and those energies are more like projections because the physical energy becomes less in its entirety, and this is why humans perceive it more as a video game, the physicality being so disconnected and so disproportionate to how physical your version of reality and third density version of reality. It simply appears to be more fluid in the way it is experienced, more fluid in the way that it is interpreted, felt, and touched. So all of these energies hold value of truth, and all of them hold the experience of why humans perceive. Now, when you are taking your mushroom form of entheogen energy, now, this is something that is quite different. Most humans who work with these entheogens are working with a second density entity That helps their own consciousness reattune itself in order to start perceiving higher dimensions and less physical dimensions. But in the mushroom energy, it is much different. This is the only plant life that holds multidimensionality inside of itself. Your cannabis plant is only second density. Your plant that is a picture of cactus or peyote plants that exist. These entities are also only second density plant life entities, but the mushroom specifically is a second density entity from the plant itself, but also holds the encoding of fourth density and fifth dimensional energy, and once you ingest it, it fuses with a part of your higher dimensionality. And then you are able to start perceiving that part of you and itself that becomes higher dimensionality, where the other plant life only brings that projection and feeling, and help opens the crown chakra and third eye chakra more. But that mushroom energy is very special in that very specific way as well. Your experiences were your own energy, activating fourth density at a higher level, a fourth density than what you are just simply being in your body. And this truly opened the ability for you to see consciousness as projection, and when you are seeing the granules and pixelation of things, this is simply perceiving more raw data of what the expression is to, especially because you resonate very deeply with a projection form of consciousness, being very similar to a video game in that way, and have seen the science of breaking down very raw particles of physical energy and also appearing. So, because of your own internal resonance and psychology being most open to that energy, this was the preferred way of that projection for you to perceive as well.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. So then during another of the what I call retreats, which is when I take the mushroom, I saw or I perceived that my mind was a computer and my body was a projection of the computer. So when I would close my eyes, I would see gears like almost like in a watch, gears and metal and things like that. And then I heard these voices say, and it sounded like almost like uh, voices in a machine. And I heard them say, there's corruption in the system because I was having a really bad time at the time with the mushrooms. So I was experiencing a lot of fear and terror. So what exactly does it mean when I hear there's corruption in the system? Is my body, are our bodies machines that are projections from the specific computer in our brain?
Yes, when you are perceiving this energy, there are multiple layers of understandings that have to occur in order to have that energy be more translatable. Because you are in a higher dimension, the way that you experience things are not exactly the same way that you experience them inside of your body and inside of your dimension. For example, when you are sleeping, you are often in fourth and fifth and sixth density because you are multidimensional and because, as human consciousness, you hold all of those dimensions in your DNA and in your consciousnesses. So, in that multidimensionality states of dreams, sometimes it comes back to you in nonsensical ways things that make absolutely no sense to your mind, and that is because what did actually occur is something that is so far out of your human reference that there are no ways for your mind to remember. So what it does is give a projection of something that is quite similar enough for you to symbolize the experience. For example, in dream states, many humans dream that they are floating in a body of water with no land around, and most humans believe that that is desperation or feeling lost with themselves. And symbolistically, yes, there are some aspects of that energy that can be true, as this is generally true with humans at one level or another. But with that energy, for one human, it can simply mean that they are co-creating with elemental water consciousnesses or collective elemental consciousnesses. Other humans, it can simply mean that they are better off to have lived in water areas, and yet other entities have very physical experiences in other planets where water is the only element that exists and no land exists on that planet, and yet other humans are visiting aquatic beings, but bringing back that being in the ocean is the only way that the human mind holds translation and translatability. So understanding that is important. Now, when you were seeing your computer as a brain and brain as a computer, this energy speaks to the function of the human brain. Your human brain is quite literally a computer and computer processor. Yes, there holds the third eye energy, and in the top of the area of your brain is the crown chakra, and both of those are non-physical consciousness anchors that allow you to communicate from non-physical into physical reality. But the organ of brain itself is simply a processing equipment because consciousness is a form of energy that can go through the physical body and that can be a part of the body and hold identification processing inside of that body. There must be an organ that is similarly physical, that is able to coincide with energy of the mental body, and that is why your third eye and throat chakra in your head region, the throat being the aspect of wisdom, the brain and third eye and crown being access to your greater understandings and your psychic ability. So, of course, that has to correlate just as your heart correlates with your heart chakra. The energies are also reversible with that. The body becomes a processor also, but does not work with only the mental body. The emotional body is more relevant in the heart area, solar plexus, even though the mental body goes through your whole body. And the emotional body goes through your whole body. It is always focused and concentrated at the heart and solar plexus, because those two are the emotional centers of sense of self and love, and the opposite in the head with that mental body. So, what you are perceiving in that way is that the brain is taking the raw information and processing, but the energy of your consciousness is the true part of you. The physical body is the avatar and manifestation, but even this, the body is not a fake form of avatar. It is not something that is only a projection of the consciousness. It is actually a system that is created from first and second density beings, remembering that humans have gone through their third density and fourth density energy exchanges. Third density is the very human that humans know. So, of course, humans have this energy of understanding and know that third density energy is simply human and human through history of humans. And this is accurate more or less for human perspectives. But the energy of your body has to be created from simple elements, such as the water and fire and carbons, all of the things that humans see as non-living, but also the brain and the heart and the digestive system are also encoded with that does live. The second density part of you, the bacteria and viruses that exist, the parts of the cell levels that are mitochondrial and work as transmuted energies of physical things. So your body has to hold the first and second density energy. And when you express the idea energy of your this system is corrupted, what this means is that you are receiving the fear going through the body when it is in a heightened state and when it holds a very large aspect of your love and heart and fourth density energy. Fear is the corrupting factor there. So this is simply your own consciousness saying that in this moment fear will get in the way of your progression and get in the way of you experiencing your fourth density and fifth dimensional energy, because this is the reason why you have done this. You know that deeply inside of you that the energy of your own consciousness needed and required a vibrational shift, and that with that energy, the exploring helps you learn to expand, helps you to be more of who you are, and helps you grow into the higher dimensional energy as you desired. So it was simply just telling you that yes, there is corruption, and that corruption is fear. But knowing this and knowing that fear is okay, that it is acceptable to feel, to not push it away, let it process through the natural alignment of your body as it's designed to do, that it's very important for you to do that. And once you did, you were able to regain the track of your own calmness and excitement as well.
Yes, yes, absolutely. You are right. I did have to go through the experience of releasing that fear, but then once I did that, the fear, I've had less fear in my life. So for sure, that's very true. Very true. Thank you for explaining that, Treb.
Yeah, you are very welcome as well.
Thank you. So then would you say the body is a hologram, or you're saying that the body is not a hologram, right?
Yes, the body itself is real. It is a physical structure, just as your body you can touch. So there is a physical structure that exists, that is the universe, and that energy of a universe is a smaller version of a greater energy that is multiverse. And our own consciousness is not large enough to look past what is there. We are able to see the surrounding universes from our own perspective of energy, and we are able to explore that in some way. But there is enough simply in this galaxy to keep us busy for the entirety of our lives. So what we know is that physically, the energy of the universe is at one size, and the multiverse is the larger. But even inside of all of the bodies that we hold are cells that are very small, and inside of those cells are atomic structures. Inside of those atomic structures are subatomic. And when you go further than this, there are 12 more levels that we ourselves are able to perceive that are as great to The predecessor, as you would perceive a shift from atoms to molecules, and going down in 12 different levels means that quite literally each atom can be a universe of consciousness, so it is less a hologram, less a projection, and more so an infinite version of how consciousness works. This is why many races that work in third and fourth density that have explored how the universe works, how it is constructed, often think that our universe is a cell within the body of a larger consciousness, and that entity is in a world of its own that is a cell in a larger consciousness. And as you understand your Russian dolls, that the smallest in the middle with larger ones stacked upon it, if you perceive that, that is one probable way that the universe can exist, just as the 12 versions of smaller subatomic energies zooming inward. This can be true outward, but it also may simply be a loop that is infinite, that continues downwards and upwards, all showing the same, that your own human that was known to discover Mandelbrot sets, that when you zoom within, you will find the same pattern in the larger energy and zoom to the smaller, seeing one smaller piece of the exact copy of the larger energy. And this is why we call consciousnesses fractaled and call lower fractaled energies and higher fractaled energies and oversouls fractalizing and universes fractalizing, because this is what it does and this is how it works from the universe at larger, but it is still very physical. It is only as a projection or as a dream or as a computer game, because the soul is identified as the most real thing. And that is why it is very hard for entities who feel that very depth of their own soul and feel the strength of their soul and feel the realness of their soul to be able to assume that anything else is as real or realer is very difficult for many humans to work through. But we do utilize the words that say projections and matrices or matrices. And the reason why we use these terms is that there is validity in projections of physical things from non-physicals. And when we use the word matrix or matrice, it is quite a different term than what most humans perceive. Most humans perceive a matrix is a fake version of reality where souls enter, similarly to the movie, that is your collective matrix. But in the non-physical to physical version, it is very similar. But when we use that term of matrix or matrice, we are speaking of the versions of universes that exist. For example, our own universe has different versions of itself. Now, these are more standard to human perspective as your old forms of 12 dimensions, where humans believe that there are 12 dimensions for humans to exist, one version of each earth in a higher or lower dimension. But this is how the matrices work. 12 different versions of our own universe, 12 different versions of our galaxy, 12 different versions of your solar system of Earth and our own solar system of Capella. And each of these 12 are different from one another, but exactly the same. The very first is voided of life, where no entities exist. It is only rock and fire, water, elemental energy. And in the highest are the large creator consciousness energies, where all of the Earth consciousness that you have as humans would simply be 12 different entities that existed, but these have such little practicality to human beings and your experiences that we do not often share this as well, and we do not share these with humans so that humans are losing information or not accessing. It is just so complicated as how it works, and does not have a relative communicative and infinite form of capacity for humans to work with. The closest energies that we share with this is explaining that when the entities in the highest matrix work, they are producing the effects that are reflected back from the consciousnesses and lower matrices as well. And this is harder explained through an example, but is explained very deeply by Aridif as well.
No, God, I can't even imagine having this conversation with him.
Yes.
It would be so complicated. Oh, wow. Well, Treb, I am so grateful and thankful for your answers. I think I'm a little bit clear. I'm definitely more clear on how this reality works, and I'm very grateful for your help. And now I need to ask Aridif to come through because we're running out of time.
Yes, wonderful. And we will connect you as well, and we leave you this day in love and in light, and we will experience each other again very soon as well.
Thank you.
Good night. Greetings to all the Soldiers.
Hi, Aridif. Thank you for being here.
Yes, of course, greetings to Elisa as well.
So, Aridif, very quickly tell us a little bit about yourself to people that don't know you. Um,
Yes, first of all, greetings to all. Our own name is expressed as Ardiv, this being an ancient form of co-creation with Earth Collective, when we had physically worked with Earth upon the greater forms of your ancient Earth. Now, of course, this is when our own consciousness held fifth density practice and worked in more direct ways with human consciousness and physically manifested our own consciousness through physical avatars dividing consciousness from higher dimensionality and placing those physical bodies within your physical format of consciousness, and did so as human consciousness was open to physical forms of communication. Of course, there were many races that worked with humans in that time period. Now, of course, ancient Egyptian times spoke of very small in stature and very blue in skin, human beings, or gods, or deities from their different perspectives. And of course, this was our own race. In your own experience, we expressed as sixth density consciousness located in your Cygnus Swan constellation at Alpha Cygnus, or better known to human consciousness as Deneb the star. And within that star system, we hold the only form of sixth density consciousness in the entirety of the solar system. We once were from the Pleiades region, and in fact had joined the star system of Deneb simply to express our own consciousness where it was less held with population and gave our own consciousness more room to expand and to breathe, for lack of better terms. Pleiades is a region of thousands of stars that exist and tens of thousands of races. So, of course, our own consciousness there, we were within very crowded conditions in order to expand our own consciousness and held very finite version of space and where we could inhabit. Therefore, we moved that solar system you understand is Deneb and created a place for us
in our own race to work. Now, of course, as treble Yitney has shared, when moving to a new system, of course, the DNA shifts and changes. Our own DNA shifted much less drastically than most races due to the nature of our own consciousness as it's expressed, and our identification in our physicality was also very important. So we utilized our own capacity to simply experience the physical shift in much lesser ways. And of course, due to that experience, we present our physical consciousness nearly identically as what we did within our human co-creation. All that was within the construct of the hair itself. The hair as it appeared to human consciousness held more so black and black-blue coloration. Human consciousness and the physical avatars that we projected our own consciousness into were not able to produce the same coloration of hair that is purple to your own understanding in this moment. So, of course, that expression differs slightly, but our DNA differs less than that construct as well. Who we are, this is an experience that you have to find within yourself. When you hear our own words, what you feel, when we share information about yourself, what you feel, that is the greatest way that you can identify who we are, is through our personal and most generic forms of co-creating with you. The feeling of our consciousness tells you much more efficiently who we are than any form of what we can share about our personal experience, expressions, etc. The experience of that energy, of course, being expansive for both parties. That is why we have always shared with humans that through our collaboration and co-creation, we are exploring the aspects of your consciousness that we had never explored previous to that moment. And because we are all one, we are exploring the avenues of our own consciousness that have yet to be explored in that same way. So as you are growing from the co-creation with ourselves and from the reflection of our answers, we too are growing. From the exploration of your consciousness and our own, we congratulate you for growing, and we thank you for our growth as well.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, of course.
Yes. And so I will ask you just one more question since we need to go and we have to make this quick. So what I would ask you is, can you explain in as short words as you can, what is it that we're going through on Earth? You know, that what's been happening lately. We used to have solar eclipses every 300 years, and now we had one in 2017. We just had one not long ago, and now supposedly there's another solar eclipse in a couple of years from now in Portugal. So, what has happened? What has changed? What's going on our planet?
Yes, of course. First of all, you are shifting as an entire collective consciousness. Not only are you shifting as humans evolve, you are shifting quite literally in dimensionality, in conscious integration, and in percentage of higher fractalized consciousness in the physical body structure itself, meaning that you are moving from that third density experience to your fourth density experience. And even those who are not knowledgeable about oneself, who have no interest in expansion, are still expanding. The side effects of what you see, not only from your different perspective about solar eclipses or phenomenon perceived in the sky, but quite literally all of the chaos that humans perceive upon the earth at this moment is only a manifestation of your desires to shift. What is it that you desire as a race? To be at one, to be at peace, not to be at war. For every human to have the capacity to live to their greatest potentiality, as well as being comfortable and feeling loved and embraced. Of course, In order to do so, you must see the systems that are faulted. You must perceive those consciousnesses that do not resonate. And of course, they will show you the drastic examples of why your race as human beings do not wish to do that anymore. And then you can shift those things first internally. As you are the portion of Creator, that starts the chain. But of course, collectively as well, working to co-create with other humans of similar interest, creating communities, creating greater movements for the shift of change that you desire. That is what is occurring in the greater experience of Earth as well.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, thank you so much, Aridif, for coming through. Thank you for the information. We love you.
Yes, of course, not only are you loved, but we love you as well, as we've expressed previously to all, that we bid you adieu for this day.
Want to
Thank you,
go?
Rob.
Yeah, it
So how
was.
can people find you before we go?
Yeah, everything you could ever want is on my website, and my email list. If you join my email list and my website, there's links to our social media there. There's all the new things that we're doing, events. We've got a lot of events coming up, live events, California, Connecticut, New York, Sedona. I mean, we're doing a lot of different places. So if you want to check out the work, just go to etwhisper.com or go to ET Whisper on YouTube and look through the channeling and check it out. And we try to share as much as we do there, but the email list is really the best way to go as far as keeping tabs on everything we do. Yeah.
And you also have a Patreon, correct?
People, but yeah, there's a Patreon and 2 extra channelings a month. One's a Q&A where you put in a personal question and then we draw randomly through all the questions we get. And then the second one is where everyone gets to put what they want to hear about as a subject, and then we vote for the subjects that are put up, and whatever votes, that topic wins for the week.
Okay,
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, I want to get you out the door when you need to go. So I
Thank you.
want
I
to thank
appreciate it.
you so much, Rob, for your time, for being here, for being the beautiful soul that you are, for helping humanity, and for bringing through the two amazing beings that, are helping us get through this planet called Earth. So thank you, Rob, and much success to you on everything that's coming. And can't wait to see you soon.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me on, and I really enjoyed the energy of sharing with you. And I'm glad we got to do this today. So thank you for doing that. And I really appreciate your kind words about my channeling. It means a lot to me that my channeling and my journey has been helpful or meaningful to other people too. So thank you.
Thank you, Rob. All right,
Thank you.
everybody. Thank you for watching. Please share.
Remember,